Perhaps unsurprisingly, after 3 years, there's a ring of familiarity to these RUSI lectures. Back at the start, in December 21, I spoke about a renewed era of state-on-state competition. I warned that the Russian forces massing on the border with Ukraine posed a direct challenge to global stability. By the following year, our worst-case intelligence estimates had come to pass with the intensity of the fighting and the barbarity of Russian atrocities. Then last year, speaking in the wake of the attacks by Hamas on Israel, I spoke of the potential for volatility across the Middle East. Now here we are in 2024, reflecting on a conflict in the Middle East which has spread beyond Gaza and a war in Europe which has now passed the 1,000-day mark and grows ever more intense. I've spoken before about how we should be reassured by our nation's strengths, our status as a nuclear power, our wealth as a G7 economy, the collective might of NATO, our network of international partners, the potential of military-industrial agreements like AUKUS and GCAP, and the quality of today's servicemen and women. These are good reasons to be confident. But tonight I want to focus on the other part of my responsibility, to stiffen the nation's resolve. That requires me to speak plainly about the threats we face and the response required. My premise is as follows. First, the world has changed. Global power is shifting, and a third nuclear age is upon us. The era of state competition, primarily through geoeconomics, has shifted to a resurgence of geopolitics, and it will last decades. Second, how we go about demonstrating that resolve. It's about confidence and self-belief. It's about our national and collective sense of purpose. It's about leadership and a willingness to act. This keeps us safe, even in a more dangerous world. And third, why the case for reform that I outlined 3 years ago is even more important today, and why the imperative is to shift defence to an outward-looking, forward-thinking organisation that is entirely focused on making the nation safe at home and strong abroad. The concept of sovereignty is real for the people of Ukraine, who are paying an extraordinary price in its defence. The value of deterrence and collective security is real for our allies in Eastern Europe, countries whose borders have been progressively shaped and reshaped by autocratic and expansionist powers and feel the proximity of Russia's aggression every day. The notion of freedom of navigation matters to those nations that face food shortages due to Russia's actions in the Black Sea, or to the merchant mariners in the Red Sea who are on the receiving end of Iranian-supplied missiles and drones. In contrast, Britain might feel safer. We don't face an existential threat like Ukraine or Israel. We don't share a land border with Russia like Poland or our Baltic and Nordic allies. We're protected by our maritime geography and the strength in depth of an alliance with a landmass stretching from the fringes of the Arctic to the Eurasian steppe. And yet we too are experiencing the consequences of a more unstable world in a way that is also very real. The security outlook is more contested, more ambiguous, and more dangerous than we have known in our careers. With Sharon Naismith, I want to shape the new military strategic headquarters to drive this mission. But I can't do it alone. It needs to read into the DNA of the whole department. High-performing organisations are those with absolute clarity about their purpose and use that to shape all they do. We need to be a department obsessed with making the nation secure at home and strong abroad. That's our true purpose. That's my priority for the year ahead, working with the Defence Secretary, Permanent Secretary, Service Chiefs, and all those in Defence in and out of uniform.